and most powerful nation on the face of the earth. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Get out and vote. And as we rescue our economy, I will also restore our borders. We're going to have a border. We had the strongest. Wait. Bring down my all-time favorite chart. Bring it down. In history. I love that chart. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that chart, if I didn't look over to the right. I wouldn't be here. I love that chart. Even if the numbers were lousy, I would love that chart. But the numbers are the best ever. So the arrow, the big red arrow on the bottom, that arrow. That's an aggressive youngster. He's going to go places. He's going to go places. But that's my last day in office, and you look at what's happened. That was a Elon rocket ship after that day. Look what happens to that chart. Look what happens to that chart. That was the lowest illegal immigration that we've had. All they had to do, Biden, when he went to the beach, all he had to do is leave it alone. We had remain in Mexico. Nobody could come in. The head of Mexico president said to me, of course we won't do that. No. I said, you will do it. You will do it. He said, no, we won't let them remain in Tijuana. Hundreds of thousands of people coming up, pouring through our borders with the past administration. I said, no, you're going to do it. He said, I'm not going to do it. We had a good relationship. I liked the guy. He was a socialist, but that's okay. And I said, no, you're going to do it, because if you don't do it, I'm going to put 100% tariff on everything you're selling to us. And you're going to end. He said, what do you mean 100? I said, well, I'll start off at 10. I'm going to raise it to 20, then 30, then 40, then 50, and I'll stop at 100, I promise. That's more money than anything you ever heard. And he said, Donald, I would love to do as you request. I would love to. It'd be my great honor to have a policy of remain in Mexico. Over the past 4 years, Kamala has orchestrated the most egregious betrayal that any leader in American history has ever inflicted upon our people. The most egregious. It's disgusting what she did. She's violated her oath and eradicated our sovereign border and unleashed an army of migrant gangs. They're waging a campaign of violence and terror against our citizens like we've never suffered before. We've never had this before in our country. It's an invasion, ladies and gentlemen. It's an invasion. Kamala has imported criminal migrants from prisons and jails, from insane asylums and mental institutions all over the world, from Venezuela to the Congo, including savage criminals who assault, rape, and murder our women and girls. Anyone who would let monsters kidnap and kill our children does not belong anywhere near the Oval Office. And my people told me about 4 weeks ago, I was saying, no, I want to protect the people. I want to protect the women of our country. I want to protect the women. Sir, please don't say that. Why? They said, we think it's very inappropriate for you to say. I said, why? I'm president. I want to protect the women of our country. They said, sir, I just think it's inappropriate for you to say, pay these guys a lot of money. Can you believe it? I said, well, I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not. I'm going to protect them. I'm going to protect them from migrants coming in. I'm going to protect them from foreign countries that want to hit us with missiles and lots of other things. Remember, for 4 years we had no war other than I defeated ISIS, but I defeated ISIS in... I felt like Brett Favre. I defeated ISIS in 4 weeks instead of 5 years, which they said it was going to take. because we have a great military. We just didn't have any leadership at the top. I mean, in the office of the president or even close to it. So I said, I'm going to defend and I'm going to protect women. I'm not going to let people go up to the suburbs or go into places where they live, whether it's suburbs or cities or farms. We're going to protect our women. At the border, we're going to protect our women. And also, we're going to protect our men and our children. We're going to protect everybody. Is there any woman in this giant stadium who would like not to be protected? Is there any woman in this stadium that wants to be protected by the president? I love these. You know, these women are from North Carolina. These women, they've been to 251 rallies. Look how beautiful they are. And they're all happily married. They're beautiful husbands. I saw them once. But, you know, I never see their husbands. I only see them. Look at them. They travel all over the country. This is at least a pretty close one. They go to California. They're incredible women. I think they have a good home life. I'm not exactly sure. No, their husbands are great, but I appreciate it. Yeah, it's like 251. Can you believe it? And we have front row Joes here, too. They've been to like 400. We got a lot of front. It's good to see you. These are great people. They're patriots, I will tell you. And they're very successful people. Very successful people. And we have Mr. Wall here someplace. He's great. He has the wall. I'm going to use that suit someday when I come out. But and it's representative. We've built 571 miles of wall on the southern border. And Mexico paid for it by supplying us with soldiers free of charge, more money than, because technically you can't get them to build the wall if you own the wall, which unfortunately we couldn't work out, but I did better. We got their soldiers and they protected us while we were building it, and they still protect us to a certain extent. So I want to thank, we've had a good relationship with Mexico, but they're going to have to do a better job. We're losing much more than 100,000 people a year to fentanyl coming in from China and then through Mexico. We're going to talk to Mexico very early in our discussions. We're maybe like the first day, one of the very first calls I'm going to make, because we cannot let fentanyl come into our country. Can't let it come in. And I'm talking to China, too. I'll call President Xi. We had a deal, President Xi and I, and then we had whole thing come in with the China virus, right? But we had a deal with President Xi. He was going to give the death penalty to anybody producing fentanyl and sending it into the United States. But, of course, when Biden took over, it didn't mean anything. Just like the Abraham Accords, we had 4 countries. I would have had that, Phil. We would have had peace in the Middle East. They didn't do anything. They just sat there with it. So, you know, we'll get it all taken care of as soon as we get in. But today I want you to hear directly from a mother whose world was absolutely shattered. This is a sad thing. I've had it for one day, and everybody that's seen it, they end up crying. Strong, tough guys, they end up crying. It's so sad, and it's emblematic of what's happening in our country. By thousands and thousands of people are being killed. This was a young, beautiful girl. Please watch.
Sunday night, I asked her to not stay up super late because of her coming to work with me in the morning to do her summer school. She said, okay. I told her good night and I love you. I went to bed, not realizing that was going to be the last time I saw her.
We're best friends.
Yeah. We're going to shake it again.
I woke up to notice she wasn't in her bed. I'm in my heart trying not to lose my mind because I don't know where she is. I finally remembered her phone had a location on. and her phone was pinging just 2 minutes down the road, right behind the skate park. I start driving to the direction the phone was being pinged at, and I see a couple cop cars with lights on. I see yellow tape, and immediately my heart drops and sinks to the bottom of my stomach. My daughter's hands and ankles were both bound. She was strangled to death, left with no pants. And I know in my heart, she fought incredibly hard. She was not going down without a fight.
We begin with two men we're learning are charged with capital murder tonight, accused of killing a 12-year-old girl.
Police say these men strangled her before dumping her into that creek. Both men were in the country illegally.
Apprehended, then released by Border Patrol less than 3 weeks before Jocelyn's death. The men accused of killing Jocelyn Nungare are affiliated with the gang known for brutal violence.
Kamala Harris was in charge of immigration and our borders. If we had better border policies and not open borders and not these catch and release policies, I truly believe this all could have been prevented. Under her being vice president of this country, my daughter's life was ripped away from her. She had her entire life ahead of her.
Happy birthday, dear Jocelyn.
My daughter is 6 feet in the ground based off of policies that she allowed to keep. Kamala Harris did have one job, and she not only failed, not me, she failed my daughter. She failed Jocelyn. You know, she was only 12. President Trump reached out, gave me his sincerest condolences as not a former president, but just as a father, someone who cares. I believe Donald Trump needs to be back in office. I can at least know that my next child will be safe in this country.
This is what we're letting into our country, and this is times thousands, all different forms, all different ages, but by thousands and thousands of people are being killed, being mutilated. The day I take the oath of office, the migrant invasion ends, and the restoration of our country begins. Thank you. The savages charged with brutalizing and murdering precious Jocelyn are members of the same vicious Venezuelan prison gang, Tren de Aragua, that's taking over apartment complexes and unleashing violent killing sprees all over America. They took over, as you know, in Colorado, Aurora, Colorado. They took over a big section, apartment complexes and others. And they're all over the country. They're even in Times Square in New York City now, and we're getting them the hell out. Take a look.
Open borders, deadly consequences.
Border crisis. Record high crossings are putting a strain on cities across America.
It is a full-blown invasion.
Armed Venezuelan gang members storming an apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado.
When people talk about migrant crime, this is what they're talking about.
San Antonio, Texas, just one of the latest cities to have apartment complexes taken over by members of the Venezuelan gang.
Biden and Harris had created a program to bring them in under humanitarian parole.
I am in favor of saying that we're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals.
More than 13,000 illegal immigrants convicted of murder have been released into the United States.
My 20-year-old daughter, Kayla Hamilton, was murdered in her own room. Kayla's murderer was apprehended by Border Patrol crossing illegally into the U.S.
Kayla's murderer had been improperly released into the United States.
abolish ICE.
Yeah, we need to probably think about starting from scratch.
More than a dozen people suspected of being Tren de Aragua gang members right here in San Antonio.
The gang members had been terrorizing the apartment complex.
New details in the murder of Laken Riley. The illegal immigrant suspect, who cops say committed the heinous murder, is a Venezuelan national.
And was paroled and released into the country by the Biden administration.
If they'd all been properly vetted, that probably wouldn't have happened.
2 men investigators say are in the country illegally from Venezuela are charged with capital murder in the death of Jocelyn Nungaray.
Martinez Rangel wrapped his arms around Jocelyn's neck, took off her pants, and climbed on top of her. Later strangled Jocelyn to death and then tied up her hands and feet.
Court documents suggest a group of men arrested for beating and robbing a Dallas woman last month are members of a Venezuelan street gang.
The men threatened to cut off her fingers if she did not cooperate. Manuel Hernandez was booked by Colleyville police just 2 days earlier and released the day before the robbery.
A Peruvian gang leader who is wanted for 23 murders. He was arrested by Border Patrol near Roma, Texas, then released into America.
This is what we're letting into our country. With no control whatsoever. We have no idea who they are. They don't check them. There's no vetting. There's no nothing. They're coming in at levels that we've never seen before. Last month, I was in the beautiful small town of Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin, where police arrested a Tren de Aragua gang member who crossed Kamala's wide open border. Just come on in. And then came into your state and held a mother and daughter captive against their will and sexually assaulted them again and again and again and did great harm to both. Just last week, an illegal alien driving an SUV hit a 60-year-old retired Green Bay police officer as he was helping two drivers by the side of the road. Instead of helping his critically injured victim, the illegal alien, who had a can of beer in his passenger seat and lots of cans of beer and plenty of other things in the car, got out of his car and ran away, leaving the retired policeman to die and bleed to death. We're praying for his family. The United States is now an occupied country, but it will soon be an occupied country no longer. November 5th, 2024 will be Liberation Day in America. And on day one, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history. We have no choice. It's not sustainable. For any country, it's not sustainable what's happening to us. I will rescue every city and town that has been invaded and conquered. We are being invaded, and we are being conquered, just like it was a military operation. And we will put these vicious and bloodthirsty criminals in jail or kick them the hell out of our country very rapidly. To expedite removals of Tren de Aragua and other savage gangs, I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Can you believe 1798? That's when we had people that wanted to protect their people. I have to go back a long way. To target and dismantle every migrant criminal network, and every single one of them operating on American soil. And there are many. And if they come back into our country, it's an automatic 10 years in jail with no possibility of parole. And I am hereby calling for the death penalty for any migrant that kills an American citizen or a law enforcement officer. And I will immediately ban all sanctuary cities in the United States of America. They'll be banned. With their open borders, they're going to destroy your Social Security and Medicare. They're destroying your Social Security and Medicare. They are going to do it, and I don't think they care. But I'm going to save it all, and I'm going to